wedding photographer to get the perfect shot. So chances are you're going to have a lot of questions. I'm Vanessa Mir, the owner and lead photographer at Heirloomsnaps, and I'm here today with Wed Mayhem as your wedding wingman. Yeah, you know, it's my couples right through that lens. So I'm here to talk to my couples. What do wedding photographers offer? Some photographers travel, some photographers only travel a certain amount, maybe they offer 30 miles within their wedding packages. Videography, photo booth. Shoot, I just saw someone offering social media coverage. So they can offer just about anything. You just have to ask them what you think you might want, and they'll definitely tell you what they will offer you. But in the end, a photographer is gonna offer images that are edited. They're gonna offer some kind of print release or copyright. Then they're gonna offer some type of delivery service for giving you these images, whether it's a client link, Dropbox, or Google Drive, or maybe it's a USB. They may even offer prints in all these packages too. That's about it. That's all I can think of. Well, wedding photographers charge, some do it for free when they're just starting out. Some, they've been in the industry for a long time and they call themselves the fine art photographers. They can offer up to $10,000. But if you're trying to decide what your budget is, think of it this way. So from $5,000 and under, you are in your budget photography. Mid-range is $5,000 to $10,000. Above that, exclusive, fine art, you're looking at $10,000 plus. I can't talk about pricing in under a minute, so we have a blog post on our Wed Mayhem website, and you'll be able to go there and check out our photography wedding pricing guide. Oh my God, there's so much included in a wedding photography contract. Well, for one thing, it tells you what you get, so that's important. Another thing, we'll have the price in there, very good. And the additional thing to just brush over this topic is, has all the legalities in there, but every photographer is gonna have a completely different contract. Main things that I want you to remember is that it will tell you whether you have a copyright or a print release. It will tell you, again, that price and what's included in that price and the hours of coverage and how many photographers you're gonna get. So that's basically what you need to know about the contract, but please just make sure you ask the photographer for the contract. There are so many red flags out there that, I mean, I don't have any red flags myself, but you know, if they're not going to be answering your emails right away, that's a huge red flag. Also, you need to ask yourself, if they aren't answering my emails, answering emails is a big one. You know, if your price tag's a little higher, your red flags go down. If your price tag is lower, your red flags go up. Red flags being they don't have high quality equipment. Well, that's a red flag because when they photograph your wedding, they're not going to have the equipment or the backup equipment to get quality images. That's one red flag, is just their price. If their price is too low, then you know you're probably gonna get that quality of photography, and they won't put the amount of time that you're going to want in your images. Okay, so just to recap there, the first one is that if they don't show up on time to your consultation, or they don't show up on time to your Zoom call, or maybe they're just keep on rescheduling your Zoom call. The second one is price. So if you're in the lower price bracket and you have a photographer that's, you know, maybe under $1,000, that's red flags, because for one thing, they're probably not experienced enough. They're probably not going to be putting as much time and energy into your wedding day, and they're not going to be giving you that one-on-one quality time that I know all wedding couples need. We wear black. We wear black so we can just blend in with the background. I mean, if we had some kind of camouflage, so that would be great. But you know, we wear black so nobody notices. We're gonna be there at the ceremony, trying to hide behind a tree, and I don't wanna be wearing florals, which would be really nice. We just don't wanna be a distraction for your wedding day. So black is what we typically wear. However, some photographers will ask you what they should wear. First of all, you need to know your price. Then you eliminate a gamut of people. And then the second thing to choosing a photographer would be you have to know what you like. And then the third thing that to help you decide what you want is actually just get to know them. So do a consultation, do an interview, call them on the phone, send them an email, see how you feel with them. I would typically book at the most 2 years in advance. A year is even better because I know life events aren't going to get in the way. And then 6 months is kind of last minute. So there's two timelines. There's the day of timeline and there's your long-term timeline. So the long-term timeline is what happens when you find your photographer. What next? Hey, yeah, you say, hello, I'd like to book you. What happens next? There's a contract. You gotta sign the contract. There's gonna be deposit, whether it's called a retainer or down deposit, to save your date. Then sometimes there's going to be an engagement session. So you're going to book your engagement session. You're going to set up a date for that. After the engagement session set up, then, you get your pictures back and then there's like this big gap. So then you and your photographer, you need to connect again. Your photographer should contact you back to say, hello, I missed you. I'm excited about your wedding. And then they want to talk about your day of timeline. A day of timeline is an itinerary of where your photographer is going to be at each moment or each special event of the wedding. Photographers choose locations based on the light and then the backdrop. So, you might have a gorgeous backdrop, but damn, that light doesn't look so good. So they might choose to go somewhere else. Sometimes they can add some lights of their own to get the light looking great, but it just depends. So number one is the light that day chooses the location as well as your backdrop. As a wedding photographer, I would suggest setting aside a good 30 minutes for newlywed photos. That means that you have 3 locations in case the first one wasn't your cup of tea. And that gives you 30 minutes to just relax and be with one another and kind of get away from the chaos of the wedding. So family photos, I'm hoping only take 15 minutes. Nobody wants to stick around for longer than 15 minutes because it's happy hour. So a good 15, I could probably add 5 more minutes for those larger families, but 15, 20 minutes is all that you really want to allocate for your family photos. And then after that, there's your wedding party photos. So wedding party photos, again, everybody's gonna wanna head on over to cocktail hour. You're only gonna wanna spend 15 minutes doing wedding party photos. It's a huge question, and honestly, I can't even say anything about it because it's just too much of a topic. Okay, do photographers own your wedding photos? They sure do. But there's more to it than just that. So in general, a photographer will either give you the print release or they'll give you the copyright. But that's a bigger topic, and I talk about it more in our blog in the description below. Photographer is always going to post your images on social media unless you request them not to. It's our way of advertising our business, and it's our way of showing you the beautiful couple off. That's the first thing we're thinking about after we photograph a wedding, is showing you your images on social media. But if you don't want your images on social media, you need to talk to your photographer and address that as one of your concerns. So we touched on our contract at the very beginning. So photographers are not necessarily going to stay for the full reception because we're booked for a certain amount of hours. So if you want a photographer to stay for the reception, you increase the coverage in your photography package. Oh my God, photographers eat at the reception all the time, but there's been talk on Facebook groups to not have the photographers eat at the reception. Photographers have been working hours before they were scheduled to start working at your wedding, and they are famished. They've been on their feet all day. And yes, we are human beings and we need to eat and we need time to eat, just like the DJ needs time to eat. And in our contracts, we will request that a meal is provided. A photographer is not necessarily going to teach you how to pose. At Heirloomsnaps, we teach you how to pose. And then the other side, wedding photographers don't want you to pose. They want those candid, supernatural images, which are still absolutely gorgeous. And actually, at Heirloomsnaps, we do a little bit of both. And I recommend a little bit of both, so you get images that look absolutely perfect, and you get images that are genuinely candid and organic. If you do need help posing, we have a video, 5 wedding posing tips to look your best. So the reason for needing to talk to more than one wedding photographer is because you want to know your money is going to be well spent, and you want to know exactly the differences between those photographers. One photographer's style might be totally different than your second photographer. So you want to have 3 photographers so that you can compare them all and make the best choice. The reason for needing more than one photographer: you have events happening simultaneously, for instance, getting ready photos, or you have another event that happens simultaneously, which is the newlywed photos and the cocktail hour, or you just have a huge event and you want to ensure that all of your guests are photographed in a candid manner. So you're going to need someone to follow your guests around while the other photographer is most likely doing newlywed photos, family photos, wedding party photos. The other reason for needing more than one wedding photographer is just you want to make sure you capture everything. So you don't want to take any chances that, oh, well, what if a photographer gets sick and can't show up and it's too late to find another photographer and you're just scrambling. At least you know you have that backup plan of one photographer will show up. The reason why photographers take so long is that they want to make sure they're giving you a gorgeous product. We are in the product industry, the service industry, and when we're delivering images, it takes time to, called culling. It takes time to cull up to 2,000, 3,000, just depends on how many photographers you have and how much coverage you got that day. Once we cull all those images, we have a certain amount, depends on what they were in your contract, you have to edit them. So let's say there's like 500 images and a photographer's going through, well, let's say 800 images is probably more like it. 30 minutes per image to make sure everything looks good. That adds up to a lot of hours. And then we're gonna double check, triple check to make sure the color looks great because we're in the service industry and we're offering you a product. And then, of course, if you purchased photoshopped images, that's additional time in editing. So culling, editing, and retouching takes a lot of time. The reason why I would Photoshop an image is because we want those iconic images. We want the absolute best image. And so we will take it into Photoshop. We will give it a little pizzazz and it's gonna be just a little bit better, but it's gonna be that iconic image that you're gonna be placing on your mantelpiece. Your must-have wedding photography shots. Starting with getting ready, hugely important. Then the first look of your partner seeing you walk down the aisle. Then the family photos. Then, of course, newlywed photos. And then, God, there's just so many shots. There's so many important shots. We're actually going to write a blog about this. So go ahead and check the description below for a full list of must-have wedding shots. All right, guys, there you have it. Those are your most searched questions about wedding photographers. Remember to check the blog for more of my advice, and if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and click the bell to be notified about our new videos. Again, I'm Vanessa Mir of Heirloomsnaps here on Wed Mayhem, where we are vowed to your vision.